Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by Raj Already Taken. Can't refund an item bought at 70% off? Fine, give me a cash refund at full price. This happened a couple years ago at Canadian Tire with one of their Mastercraft tools that often go on sale for huge discounts. I really hope that's not just advertising. We were helping my in-laws clear out old belongings when they were moving, and I found an impact wrench that looked unused with a 2-year-old, edit probably much older, receipt attached. Father-in-law said that there was always a problem with it, so he never used it and forgot to return it. I decided to try to return it to Canadian Tire since they have long warranties on their products. The customer service representative looked at the receipt for $60 on sale from $200 and said, "You can't return this item with the receipt. Too much time has passed and the receipt is useless." I tried explaining there were issues with it, but she didn't believe me. I googled the issues right there and it came up as a recall item for the exact reason I stated. I showed it to her and she begrudgingly agreed that I could return it as a recall. She asked for the receipt back so she could refund me, and I said, "No, too much time has passed and the receipt is useless." She glared at me and proceeded a cash refund for $225, including taxes. That seems so strange to me, that they would give you what you didn't pay for it. I understand, you could return it, but you should be only getting $60. That's all that Canadian Tire received from your father-in-law. 2+ years ago, $60. Why are they giving you $225+? I mean, she already looked at the receipt and saw it was $60. She should be giving you $60 back. You're basically scamming them. Not that I like siding with corporations ever, or companies ever, but sometimes you should just do the right thing and just get the $60 back. That's what you paid for it. That's what you should get back. Because you know that in situations like this, they just pass the burden of this sort of little scam onto the customers. The company doesn't feel it. Somehow the customers always do. Our next story is by Biller Girl. Oh, I can't read that. Job wanted work shirts back when I quit. They received a pile of muddy ashes. Back on February 23rd, 2014, Sunday. Oh man, this person marked this on a calendar, you know it. There's no way you're going to remember what exact day something is unless it was truly epic. I was driving home from going clothes shopping for my new job I was starting in a week when my car literally caught on fire with me and my then 4-year-old son in it. I had just bought $200 worth of clothes and my laundry was in the car from the laundromat, including my work shirt and white lab coat. I had already given notice to my boss that I was leaving, and the next day, Monday, I called in to tell them what happened, and that I would not be in due to smoke inhalation issues and needing to go to buy a new car. This was supposed to be my last day. She decides to tell me that I needed to return my 3 work shirts and lab coats or I would have the cost garnished from my last check. I told her that they were a pile of ash at the salvage yard. She tells me I have to bring them in. Okay. Will do. Insert eye roll on a certain finger flashing from my side of the phone. Tuesday, I walked in with a picture of my laundry basket melted in my car and a Ziploc bag filled with ashes and mud. I recorded myself giving them to her and telling her again what happened. I got a side eye and a WTF. I walked out with a smirk. Edited to add that I've been at my new job for 10 years in March. Best move I ever made. Also, my wages were never garnished. I don't think they legally could, but who knows. See, Opie, I'm curious how long you were with your current job. How long were you working for this job with this white lab coat and work shirt that they felt like they could ask for your clothes back? It must have not been too long. Somebody down in the comments shared their own story. By Zombie Girl Me. Once upon a time, a lady crashed her car in my mom's front yard. Car was on fire, lady was stuck, and thick black clouds of smoke were billowing. We had no idea if the car would blow up or not, but lady wasn't moving. Family stood around looking, and I finally decided to go for it, opened the back up, dragged lady out, and I hoped to God I didn't injure her more, while my mom was on the phone with 911. I was 8 months pregnant at the time and coughed up so much black mucus. Never got taken to the hospital or anything, but I had to go to work that day, so I went. Because of the accident and waiting for emergency services, I was late to work. I had to call them to let them know, but they didn't care. I was written up for being late, put on notice, and lost my bonus that month. But then they had a party to congratulate me for saving the lady? Like, what the F? No, this was almost 20 years ago. Edit to say, glad you guys were all right as well. Cars being on fire is pretty scary and not so fun. Good on you for saving someone's life. Unfortunate that the bean counters and penny pinchers at your workplace were so stingy. Let's see how many pennies you can pinch from these slaves and save us $1 or $2 a month. It's just awful. Our next story is by TSS Caramel. Upper management of the sports club fires me and cripples their kitchen. So I'm a professional chef and have been for a few years, and in Australia, apprentice chefs are trained in a sort of college where we learn about 150 recipes. 150, like, dinner recipes? I know probably 4. Now, many of the recipes are provided to the students in bulky, finicky booklets that you wouldn't really want to take anywhere with you, so I just started writing some of the recipes in a separate notebook, along with some other recipes I learned from coworkers or family members, and created a sort of pseudo-cookbook that I would often bring this book into the kitchen, so I would remember the ingredient quantities and cooking times, and eventually I would leave the book in the kitchen pretty much around the clock. What I soon found out was that some of the other chefs in the kitchen were using my cookbook to check official recipes for the restaurant we worked for, as typically the head chef would have to tell them, and this got annoying for everyone. This restaurant was a part of a popular sports club in the local area, so consistency was extremely important to management. As such, having a written record of the new recipes or changes to long-time recipes was very important. As it turned out, management had stopped making changes to the official recipe book after a few months before I even started, so my book became the de facto official recipe book. For a while, this was no issue to me, and I kept adding new recipes to it throughout the next few years. However, after my 3rd year working there, I finished my studies and became fully qualified as a chef, so I suddenly became more expensive to keep on as a staff member, and as such, management started looking for any reason to replace me with a new apprentice. Eventually, they found someone to replace me and gave me a flimsy reason for firing me, and told me to take all my things and leave as I could no longer offer what they're looking for. So I took everything I owned and left, including the notebook with all the club recipes. For a few days, not a whole lot happened, but slowly the club's reviews started complaining about bland food, dry cakes, inconsistent classic recipes, and every other food-related thing you could think of. At one point, there were 50 negative reviews in a single day, which for our town was a massive amount of negative reviews in one day. It felt pretty darn good since I felt like they deserved it and left me unemployed on short notice. However, I was quickly offered a new job by a smaller restaurant whose owner knew me from the sports club kitchen. The malicious compliance. Didn't we just hear the malicious compliance? You're doubly malicious then. After about a week, I received multiple calls, and after answering one, I heard another of the higher managers at the sports club asking if I could return the book as the kitchen needed it back. I obviously laughed at them and said firmly that it was my book full of my recipes, so it wasn't going anywhere near them, reminding them that they had told me I could no longer offer what they were looking for. The manager clearly began to panic as he offered to give my job back and just let bygones be bygones. I already had a new job, so I completely brushed off this offer and ignored him. I hung up pretty soon after that. Sounds like a sinking ship to me. I started putting the recipes from my book on the new restaurant's menu, and it was beginning to attract a few regular customers of the sports club. So I quickly found myself with more and more responsibility and command within the kitchen, to the point that about 1/3 of the menu was from my book. Now, this slow trickle of sports club regulars picked up speed after about 3 months and led to several high-level managers from the club deciding to visit the restaurant I'd helped build and virtually demanded I give them my cookbook, claiming it would be much more beneficial for the community if they had it. My head chef laughed in their faces and told them to piss off. It's been about 2 years, and my head chef and I have a very positive relationship, and the customer base we have at the restaurant is better than ever. We didn't take every customer from the big club, but it was enough to damage their profits, to scare a few investors away, and also led to a decent bit of damage to one of the higher managers' reputations. Furthermore, the recipe issues and negative reviews led to the majority of the kitchen quitting, And according to one of my old colleagues, they cited the lack of support and organization from upper management as the final reasons everyone was quitting, and this led to an even larger dip in the quality of the restaurant food. I also get paid significantly more at this restaurant than I was at the sports club. That is definitely doubly malicious, OP. Well done. I am totally fine with you taking them down if they're trying to take you down. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a totally fair day.